Imagine this: the king of country music, George Strait, a man who spent decades letting his songs do the talking, finally steps up to a microphone at 73 years old to share his heart about another legend, Willie Nelson. It's a moment fans have been waiting for, a rare glimpse into the thoughts of a man who's seen it all in country music. What does George have to say about Willie, the braided bandana-wearing icon who's been strumming his guitar and singing stories for generations? Let's dive into a story that's not just about two giants of music, but about respect, friendship, and the heart of Texas itself. George Strait was born in a tiny town called Poteet, Texas, back on May 18, 1952. Growing up, he wasn't surrounded by bright lights or big stages. Instead, he was out on his family's cattle ranch, learning the value of hard work under the wide Texas sky. That life shaped him. It gave his music a kind of truth you can't fake, the kind that makes you feel like he's singing right to you. As a kid, George loved music, but it wasn't until his teenage years that he started messing around with a garage band. He'd listen to old records by guys like Merle Haggard, George Jones, and Hank Williams, their voices filling his head with dreams of honky-tonks and heartfelt lyrics. Those sounds stuck with him, like dust on his boots, and they'd guide him for the rest of his life. When George was 19, he joined the army and got sent to Hawaii. Most folks might think of beaches and palm trees, but for George, it was a chance to pick up a guitar and start performing with a band called Rambling Country. That's where he got his first taste of singing for a real crowd, and he loved it. While he was there, he also married his high school sweetheart, Norma, in 1971. They didn't have a big fancy wedding. They ran off to Mexico and eloped, just the two of them, proving that love doesn't need a spotlight to shine. That choice, so full of heart and courage, became the foundation of their life together. A year later, their daughter Jennifer was born, and in 1981, their son, Bubba, came along. Family meant everything to George, even as his dreams of music started to take shape. After the Army, George went to college at Southwest Texas State University, studying agriculture while still playing music on the side. He joined a band called Ace in the Hole, singing in smoky bars and small-town dance halls. Those were tough years, full of long nights and small crowds, but George never gave up. In 1981, everything changed. His first single, Unwound, hit the radio, and suddenly, people couldn't get enough of that smooth voice and classic country sound. Unlike a lot of singers back then who were mixing country with pop, George stayed true to the old-school stuff: fiddles, steel guitars, and lyrics that hit you right in the heart. Songs like Amarillo by Morning and All My Exes Live in Texas became anthems, the kind you sing along to in your truck or hum while you're working. George wasn't just singing, he was telling stories about real life, and fans loved him for it. Over the years, George became a superstar, but he never acted like one. He racked up more #1 hits than anyone in music history, over 60 of them. That's more than Elvis or the Beatles. His albums sold over 100 million copies, and he won every award you can think of, from Country Music Association trophies to a Grammy. In 2006, he was welcomed into the Country Music Hall of Fame, a place reserved for the greatest of the great. But what made George special wasn't just the numbers. It was how he carried himself. He didn't chase fame or trends. He wore his cowboy hat, jeans, and boots, and he sang what he believed in. When he took the stage, he didn't need flashy lights or wild stunts, just a guitar and that voice. His fans felt like they knew him, like he was a friend who understood their joys and struggles. Life wasn't always easy for George, though. In 1986, his world turned upside down when his daughter, Jennifer, died in a car accident. She was only 13. The pain of losing her was something George and Norma carried quietly, and out of respect for their grief, George stopped giving interviews. But instead of letting that heartbreak break them, they turned it into something beautiful. They started the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation to help kids in need around San Antonio. It was their way of keeping Jennifer's memory alive, of making sure her short life left a mark that helped others. That's the kind of people George and Norma are: strong, kind, and always looking to do good, even when life hurts. Even when George decided to slow down, he never really stopped. His farewell tour in 2013, called The Cowboy Rides Away, was legendary. Fans packed stadiums to see him one last time, and his final show in Texas drew over 100,000 people. Can you imagine that many folks singing along to Check Yes or No? It was like the whole state came out to say thank you. Even now, in his 70s, George still records music and plays shows every now and then. New country stars like Chris Stapleton and Luke Bryan look up to him, not just for his songs but for how he's lived his life, with honesty and heart. Now, let's talk about Willie Nelson. If George is the king of country, Willie's the poet, the rebel, the guy who's been writing songs that feel like they're part of the Texas dirt. Born in 1933 in Abbott, Texas, Willie grew up picking cotton and singing gospel in church. He started writing songs as a kid, and by the time he was in his 20s, he was selling hits to other singers. Songs like Crazy and Hello Walls made other people famous, but Willie wanted to sing his own stories. In the 1970s, he left Nashville's shiny studios and moved back to Texas, where he helped start the outlaw country movement. That was all about breaking the rules, singing raw, real songs that didn't fit the radio's mold. With his scruffy beard, long braids, and beat-up guitar named Trigger, Willie became a symbol of doing things your own way. Willie's music is like a warm hug. Songs like On the Road Again and Always on My Mind make you feel every emotion: love, loss, hope, and freedom. He's not just a country star, he's a piece of America. He's played with everyone from Johnny Cash to Snoop Dogg, and at 92, he's still out there, performing with that same old guitar. But what makes Willie so special isn't just his music. It's his heart. He's spent years helping farmers, raising money for charities, and standing up for what he believes in. He's the guy who'd give you the shirt off his back, then invite you to sing a duet with him. For years, George Strait stayed quiet about his thoughts on other artists. He's not the kind of guy who likes to talk just to hear his own voice. But at 73, something changed. Maybe it was the weight of all those years in music, or maybe it was just time to say what he'd been holding in. When George finally spoke about Willie Nelson, it was like the whole world leaned in to listen. He didn't just toss out a quick compliment. He spoke from the soul, with words that carried the kind of respect you only get from one legend talking about another. Willie's music is real, George said, his voice steady but full of feeling. You listen to him and you know he's been through it all, the good, the bad, everything. That's why his songs hit so hard. George wasn't just talking about Willie's hits. He was talking about the way Willie pours his life into every note, every word. Whether he's singing about heartbreak or hitting the road, Willie makes you believe it because he's lived it. For George, a man who's built his own career on truth, that authenticity means everything. George went on, saying, Willie never tried to be what Nashville wanted. He did his own thing, and that's not easy. It takes guts to walk away from the big machine and follow your heart. George knows a thing or two about staying true. He's spent his whole career singing the country music he loves, even when others were chasing pop sounds. In Willie, he sees someone who paved the way, who showed the world you could make music your way and still win. Back in the 1970s, Willie left Nashville and moved to Austin, where he started singing the songs he wanted, the way he wanted. That courage changed country music forever, and George respects him for it. Then George got personal. Willie's always been good to other singers, he said. If you were new or struggling, he'd give you a hand, maybe even a stage to sing on. That's who he is. Coming from George, that's high praise. George is known for being humble, for helping younger artists like Taylor Swift and Casey Musgraves early in their careers. He sees that same kindness in Willie, the kind of guy who'd sit down with a new artist and share a story or a song. It's not just about music, it's about building a family in country music, and Willie's been like a big brother to so many. George also talked about what Willie means to Texas. When you think of Texas, you think of Willie, he said with a smile. He's like the soul of this place. For George, a proud Texan who sung about Amarillo and San Antonio, that's a big deal. Willie's not just a singer, he's a piece of the land, the wide open spaces, the stubborn independence that makes Texas what it is. Whether he's playing at a tiny bar or a huge festival, Willie carries Texas with him, and George feels that deep in his bones. Finally, George shared a memory that gave everyone chills. I've stood on stage with Willie a few times, he said, and every time, I feel like I'm next to something special. He's one of a kind. Picture that, two legends, side by side, singing under the Texas stars. For George, those moments are treasures, reminders of why he fell in love with music in the first place. His words weren't just about Willie's talent, they were about gratitude, about how lucky we all are to have Willie Nelson still singing, still sharing his heart with the world. At 73, George Strait didn't have to say a word about Willie Nelson. He could have kept quiet, like he's done for so long. But when he spoke, it was like he was speaking for every fan who's ever felt a Willie song tug at their heart. He was saying what we all know: Willie's not just a musician. He's a storyteller, a rebel, a friend, and a piece of Texas history. George's words were a gift, a way of honoring a man who's given so much to music and to the world. So, what do you think? Did George's words about Willie make you feel the same way they made me feel, like two old friends sharing a moment that means everything? If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and share it with someone who loves country music as much as you do. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got more stories like this coming your way. Let's keep the spirit of George and Willie alive, one song at a time.